And are you refreshed?
Yes.
Good. Hello. Okay. Okay. All right. So we were talking about how forgiveness can imply a judgment, making something wrong
Well,
or
we're
bad.
saying forgiveness
And
is an improvement on the emotional scale from something like blame. In other words, if you forgive yourself, you have released resistance from guilt. If you forgive someone else, you have released resistance from blame. And we think it is a
Okay.
wonderful thing. We just don't do it ourselves.
So then I'm in a marriage of 11 years, and we have these daily or frequent times of when we are hurtful, can be hurtful to each other, when we were wanting the other person to change for our experience to be better. So there's this, I've heard it said before, like a relationship power struggle, where we want the other person to be different for us to feel better. And so there's this contrast where we manifest these wonderful experiences like where we are today and do the big picture together really, really well. But yet we provide this incredible opposition and contrast for each other. And so we end up getting pissy and mad at each other, and how to get out of that.
We're going to give you something here that may surprise you, maybe not in light of everything that you've been hearing.
Okay.
And that is, well, you don't have to brace yourself quite so much. This will be very easy for you to hear. The forgiveness that you are wanting to apply is to yourself. In other words, because when you are unkind to someone or giving someone a hard time, it's always from your place of disconnection. It's always from your painful place, you see.
Okay.
And so when you're hurting, it's not easy to be a soother when you yourself need to be soothed. It's not possible for you to be in a place of forgiving another when you are in a place of hurting yourself. And so that's why we continue to say, tend to your own vibration, and then in time you won't have to be apologizing for the things that you wish you hadn't said. But in the meantime, while you are still apologizing for the things you wish you hadn't said, don't let your apology or your trying to make up with the other one cause you to do further damage to the erosion of your own sense of well-being. In other words,
Right.
it's sort of the opposite of making the peace with where you are that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Are you getting the sense of it? In other words, let's say that
Right.
you behave deplorably, and now you're feeling bad about your behavior. And so in that feeling bad about your behavior, you apologize for your bad behavior.
Okay.
Well, in that apology, we do not usually find you finding the whatever it was that was missing that caused you to be out there on that raw and ragged edge to begin with. You see what we're getting at?
So when you're
Saying to someone, I'm sorry I was wrong, doesn't make you feel any
No.
better.
No.
It doesn't make you feel any wholer. And so certainly it's nice to make up with others, and it's nice to soothe them and stroke them, and to now tell them in a more emphatic way that you love them, especially after you've been mistreating them. But if you haven't brought yourself back to the position where you are tuned in, tapped in, turned on yourself, then your love is empty and hollow. Then it's just more words. And we think that's what happens with a lot of relationships, is that you develop these patterns where you don't tend to your own vibration, and then you blame each other about how you feel, and then you're hard on each other about how you feel, and then you try to forgive each other, and so you just sort of go from Phoenix to Yuma, Phoenix, Yuma, Phoenix, Yuma, Phoenix,
Right.
Yuma, Phoenix, Yuma, but you never get fully back into connection with who you really are.
Right. So what you're saying is taking the time for us maintaining our alignment and working on where we want to be and
We
accepting
think-
where we are now.
We think that there are many situations where often parents or teachers demand an apology from you. And what they really want is just the words, I'm sorry. People say, I'm sorry is delicious to hear, and I'm sorry I was wrong is even more delicious to hear. In other words, people want you to say those words. But what we're saying is, if you offer those words without having brought yourself into vibrational alignment, then you haven't really offered anything that has brought anything really back into alignment. And so really what we are saying is, yes, by all all means apologize if it enhances the way the other feels. But don't try to offer an apology until you are tuned back into source energy, which means forgiveness of yourself must come first. And so here's another way of saying it. Let's say that you behaved, by your estimation, deplorably with someone, and now you're feeling regret about it. Well, where's regret on the emotional scale? It's way down there in some not good feeling place. And so now you decide, I'll just go through some action and I'll apologize. And so you offer words. How many times have you apologized to someone where you say, I'm sorry, and they say, no, you're not? In other words, they can tell that your vibration hasn't shifted at all. You're just giving the obligatory apology, even though you have not adjusted your vibration at all. And so if you will take the time to get yourself back into alignment, and the easiest way to do that is get out your book of positive aspects, or remember your relationship when it was new. Remember the reason that you came together to begin with. Point out to yourself some of the high points of the relationship. And sometimes, depending upon how deep you are into the negative end of the vibrational scale, you can bring yourself pretty quickly into a place of feeling better. And when you do that first, and then you say, I really wish that that hadn't happened the way it did. I love you, and I always want to be one who offers my connection energy to you, not displays my disconnection energy to you. Then, in time, you'll reach the place where no apologies are necessary. And this is the thing that we really want to say to you. If you are someone who has the ability to line up with source energy just because you want to, and you've really let go of needing to control conditions and circumstances and behavior of other people, oh, how nice you are to be with. How nice it would be to be able to say to everyone, no apology is necessary. No apology is necessary because I've never let my happiness depend upon your behavior to begin with. You can't hurt me. Only I can hurt me. Isn't that life-giving? Wouldn't you love to be with someone who really could say, my happiness does not depend upon your behavior?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And wouldn't you like to give that gift to another? And so don't make big deals about forgiveness. Get yourself tuned in, tapped in, turned on, so you don't do the stuff that you need to be forgiven for. And if you do get into a place where you feel you need to be forgiven, first forgive yourself for needing to be forgiven. That's the message that we're giving you. Give yourself a break because something happened that got you out there on that raw and ragged edge, you see. And don't try to fill it up with hollow words. Yes.